Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here we are from the last group, which is 12 group. We will discuss about the vocabulary test, but before it I will mention my friends. And first is me, I'm Sheilla Yolalessie Visyamanda, and for my friends is fadillah ningrum. And for the first presenters will be presented by me, Sheilla Yolalessie Visyamanda. Okay. Here I want to explain first about the what is vocabulary test. The sub-skill of English, which is vocabulary test. Of course, the test language sub-skills such as vocabulary don't show how will a person use English, but they can help teacher diagnose students' strength and weakness in oral written communication. First of all, I want to tell about what is vocabulary test. Vocabulary test is a test for knowledge as for to know the meaning use of words that's often used as part of intelligence items. In vocabulary, there are four general kinds of vocabulary tests. The first are limited response, multiple choice completion, multiple choice paraphrase, simple completion. And first, I will explain about the limitation response. Limited response is for the beginners. This test items require either a simple physical action like pointing at something or very simple verbal answer such as yes or no. In testing, the student who's the beginners often use direct physical response and visual. The student don't have to know how to read or write. In fact, they don't even know how to speak. Okay. And for the next is, there are two types of tests for limited response. First is individual testing, and for the second is group testing. First is individual testing. I will explain. Directly physical response can easily be used when the test one student at a time. In a school, the teacher sometimes arranges for a small group and individual work. In individual testing, the teacher can interaction to the student very productive when testing language skill for the beginning students, because the beginners is most surprisingly amount of information can gathered in just 2 until 3 minutes. The teacher can test by asking a very short answer. For example, is the book green? The student can only answer by yes or no, like that. Even the group testing, the teacher can use non-verbal physical response as well to test the whole class at the same time. A good way to draw or to duplicate a sketch, such as give commands to a group to draw something. For example, draw a circle around the tree. Okay, they also have some advantage and limitation or weakness for these types or for these items. Firstly, I will explain about the advantage. They are, firstly, it causes less stress or nervousness than other tests. Secondly, it avoids skills such as reading and writing that have not yet developed. And for the third is it can be scored easily and objectively. Even for the limitation are, firstly, it requires the individual testing, which takes longer than group testing. Second, it's usually difficult to test abstract words with the technique. And for the last is sketch are sometimes ambiguous. Okay, and for the second types are multiple choice completion. This testing type is the one of the goodest testing vocabulary for testing the foreign language, because it makes students depend on context clues and sentences meaning. This kind of types is constructed by deleting a word from a sentence. For example, she quickly blah 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 her lunch. And for the answer, just mark or choose out the correct answer like A, B, C or D. Even E. After the students read the sentences or question, they can look at the group of words and choose which one the correct answer. There are several steps should be taken to write multiple choice types for the teacher. First, select the word to be tested. And for the second, get the right kinds of the sentence to put each word in. For the third is choose several wrong words to put the right word with 3 distractors plus the right word are enough for written items. And finally, prepare clear and simple instruction. There are also several types for multiple choice completion types. And there are vocabulary choice, context preparation, distraction preparation, and instruction preparation. And for the first, I will explain about the vocabulary choice. Since students have to recognize these words but not necessarily produce them, this is a good way to test more difficult tests. But they should still words. But they still be words or phrases that are useful for the students. For example, from their reading materials, of course, words can be chosen from other sources like newspaper, magazine, or textbook or something else. And for the next is context preparation. Sometimes, especially for the beginnings students, more than one sentence is needed to clarify the meaning. The teacher can prepare at least 2-line mini dialogue like those in the student books to check the meaning of a word. And for the third is distraction preparation. There are 2 common ways to choose distraction. First, experienced teachers often create their own. For the second, ways that use student errors as distraction. And for the teacher for who create their own distraction should follow the several guidelines. There are first, make sure the distractions are the same form of word as the correct answer. And for the second is be sure teacher don't give away the right answer taught grammatical cues. Third, multiple choice items for any one question should be about the same level of difficulties and ideally. And for the last is also be sure not to include more than one correct answer. And then for the last type is instruction preparation. For the instruction, your test should be brief at the first before class begins. The student shouldn't have to spend a lot of time for reading. If the teacher have used multiple choice sentences completion exercise in class, the instruction can be very short instruction. For example, circle the letter of the right answer or circle the letter of the word that best completes each sentences. And then there are also the advantage and weakness. Firstly, I will explain the advantage. Firstly, it helps students see the full meaning of words by providing natural context. Secondly, scoring is easy and consistent. And for the last is it is a sensitive measure of achievement. Okay, and second is the weakness. There are 2 weaknesses in these types. First, it is rather difficult to prepare good sentence context that clearly show the meaning of the word being tested. And for the second, it is easy for a student to cheat by copying other student answers. Okay, that's all about my explanation, and then will be continued by my friends. Fadillah Ningrum.
Okay, I will explain multiple choice paraphrase. Multiple choice paraphrase takes a vocabulary item over much of the same advantage dates and the contents are much easier to prepare. Understanding in check by the student having to choose the best synonym or paraphrase or the vocabulary item. The sentence content is still used. However, using the right word depends more on the knowing the key vocabulary item than on finding meaning in the sentence. In fact, The contents may simply show that the item is a choice completion text do not. Vocabulary choice and contents preparation. In writing paraphrase item, we follow the same step that we took the prepared completion item. First, select the word to be text. The second, prepare a sentence text. The third, choose detractor, and the last, write instruction. Okay, choose word just as you did in the last section, but you can spend less effort in preparing sentence contents. Okay, next, detraction preparation. In preparing one word detractor, keep in mind the suggestion made in the section on multiple choice completion. In addition, here are some guidelines that apply particularly exclusively to paraphrase item. Simple completion. Word formation item requires student to fill in missing part of word that appear in sentence. These missing parts are usually but correct ending. They thus produce nervy, which means bold or offensive. The contents did not show that the person intends was worried or nervous, so nervy had to be accepted. Okay, I think that's all the material for our group. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.